Hello all you beautiful people out there, I am Mrs. Realistic, welcome back to the channel. I have been given a request by Jukebox Dave to look into Dance with the Devil, Immortal technique. I have not heard of these guys before, so this will once again be something new I'm checking out. Without further ado, let's get into it. What song is that?
I once knew a nigga whose real name was William. His primary concern was making a million, being the illest hustler that the world ever seen. He used to fuck movie stars and sniff coke in his dreams. A corrupted young mind at the age of 13. Nigga never had a father and his mom was a fiend. She put the pipe down, but for every year she was sober, her son's heart simultaneously grew colder. He started hanging out, selling bags in the projects, checking the young chicks looking for hit and run prospects. He was fascinated by material objects, but he understood money never bought respect. He built a reputation cause he could hustle and steal, but got locked once and didn't hesitate to squeal. So criminals he chilled with didn't think he was real. You see, me and niggas like this have never been equal. I don't project my insecurity.
Well, this is the story, isn't it? Growing up in the projects, and they follow along with that family that they think that they have. They end up selling drugs, and in this case, he squealed on his buddies and now nobody trusts him. No father in the home, mother who's a drug addict. It's all kind of like a snowball that just rolls downhill, right? One thing after another until there's no options for this kid getting into the gang life, as many of these kids do. And of course, this is glorified in a lot of rap music. So it's a vicious circle.
Didn't think he was real. You see, me and niggas like this have never been equal. I don't project my insecurities on other people. He fiended for props like addicts with pipes and needles, and so he felt he had to prove to everyone he was evil. A feeble-minded young man with infinite potential, the product of a ghetto-bred capitalistic mental. Coincidentally, dropped out of school to sell weed, dancing with the devil, smoked until his eyes would bleed. But he was sick of selling trees and gave in to his greed.
Moved on to coke or something, right?
Everyone trying to be trife never faced the consequences. You probably only did a month for minor offenses. Ask a nigga doing life if he had another chance. But then again, there's always the wicked that knew in advance. Dance forever with the devil on a cold cell block. But that's what happens when you rape, murder, and sell rock. Devils used to be gods, angels that fell from the top. There's no diversity because we're burning in the melting pot.
Wow, that's pretty deep. There's no diversity because we're burning in the melting pot. And I mean, in that sense, in that environment, there isn't much diversity. It's all the people vying for the same outcome, right? To make a whole lot of money selling drugs. And then it's that cascading effect. You get caught up in the gang, it ends in violence, and they end up probably doing life in prison. There are those rare few who get out. And how many of them do we know that become rappers and sing about that same thing in their rap music while they're, rolling in the money and glorifying it in their music to people who will never be them, but who are going to strive to be them and probably end up dead or in prison.
So Billy started robbing niggas, anything he could do to get his respect back in the eyes of his crew. Starting fights over little shit up on the block. Stepped up to selling mothers and brothers the crack rock. Working overtime, making money for the crack spot. Hit the jackpot and wanted to move up to cocaine. Fulfilling the Scarface fantasy stuck in his brain. Tired of the block niggas treating him the same. He wanted to be major like the cutthroats and the thugs. But when he tried to step to him, niggas showed him no love. They told him any motherfucking coward can sell drugs. Any bitch nigga with a gun can bust slugs. Any nigga with a red shirt can front like a blood. Even Puffy smoked the motherfucker up in the club. But only a real thug can stab someone till they die. Standing in front of them, staring straight into their eyes. Billy realized that these men were well guarded, and they wanted to test him before business started. Suggested raping a bitch to prove he was cold-hearted. So now he had a choice between going back to his life or making money with made men. Up in the sight, his dreams about cars and ice made him agree a hardcore nigga is all he ever wanted to be. And so he met them Friday night at 2:45.
Wow. You know, you watch a movie like Scarface, how many people ever get to that level so that it's a protected status like he was in the movie? And all the higher ups, you know, the drug cartels, the top dogs, they're not the ones that get busted. It's the little guys out here slinging rock. Some people say like a victimless crime, or they say that, you know, people shouldn't be in jail for drugs because it's not a violent crime. But the victims become the people that they're selling this stuff to because they end up getting hooked on it. They'll do anything to get it. Chances are they're not living a functional dream life while they're hooked on crack or hooked on cocaine. It becomes too expensive, so they get stuck doing meth. And the cheaper the drug, it seems like the worse the outcome because it's so much more readily available, so that becomes your entire life. So it is not a victimless crime. The victims are the young kids, not only who are selling it, but, you know, and get sucked into that life of crime, but the victims are the people who are buying these drugs. Now, I mean, you can argue either way on whether you think that drugs should be legal and that people should have the choice to do that or not, and not be stuck in prison for things like weed. Marijuana is a completely different drug. I don't know anybody who's ever overdosed. At some point, I think that these people have this dream that they're going to become Scarface. The reality of that is far from the truth.
Wanted to be, and so he met them Friday night at 2:45. Everyone trying to be trife, never face the consequences. You probably only did a month for minor offenses. Ask a nigga doing life if he had another chance. But then again, there's always the wicked that knew in advance. Dance forever with the devil on a cold cell block. But that's what happens when you rape, murder, and sell rock. Devils used to be God's angels that fell from the top. There's no diversity because we're burning in the melting pot. They drove around the project slow while it was raining, smoking blunts, drinking and joking for entertainment, until they saw a woman on the street walking alone, 3 in the morning, coming back from work on the way home. And so they quietly got out the car and followed her, walking through the projects. The darkness swallowed her. They wrapped her shirt around their head and knocked her onto the floor. This is it, kid, now you got your chance to be raw. So Billy yoked her up and grabbed the chick by the hair and dragged her into a lobby that had nobody there. She struggled hard, but they forced her to go up the stairs. They got to the roof and then held her down on the ground, screaming, "Shut the fuck up and stop moving around." The shirt covered her face, but she screamed and clawed. So Billy stomped on the bitch till he broke in her jaw. Them dirty bastards knew exactly what they were doing. They kicked her until they cracked her ribs and she stopped moving, blood leaking through the cloth. She cried silently, and then they all proceeded to rape her violently. Billy was made to go first, but each of them took a turn, ripping her up and choking her until her throat burned. Her broken jaw mumbled for God, but they weren't concerned. When they were done and she was lying bloody, broken and bruised, one of them niggas pulled out a brand new 22. They told him that she was a witness for what she'd gone through, and if he killed her, he was guaranteed a spot in the crew. He thought about it for a minute. She was practically dead, and so he leaned over and put the gun right to her head.
That's probably the most hardcore lyrics I've ever heard in a song. But unfortunately, it's 100% truth. This kind of stuff happens every day. And so if you're not jumped into a gang, you're given these rules and disgusting, twisted directions on how to be part of the crew. And only monsters could do something like this. I don't know how anyone with any kind of heart or any kind of human emotion could do something like this, but people do. And so where does that come from? How does that happen that somebody wants to be a part of a gang so bad that they will literally act like an animal? And I can't even say animal because I don't know that animals are that vicious. Animals are usually hunting for food or defending territory. This is just pure evil. There's something wrong with your brain for you to even entertain a thought like this.
Dead, and so he leaned over and put the gun right to her head. I'm falling and I can't turn back. I'm falling and I can't turn back. Right before he pulled the trigger and ended her life, he thought about the cocaine with the platinum and ice, and he felt strong standing along with his new brothers. Cocked the gat to a head and pulled back the shirt cover, but what he saw made him start to cringe and stutter, cause he was staring into the eyes of his own mother. She looked back at him and cried cause he had forsaken her. She cried more painfully, and when they were raping her, his whole world stopped. He couldn't even contemplate. His corruption had successfully changed his fate, and he remembered how his mom used to come home late, working hard for nothing, cause now what was he worth? He turned away from the woman that had once given him birth, and crying out to the sky cause he was lonely and scared, but only the devil responded cause God wasn't there. And right then he knew what it was to be empty and cold, and so he jumped off the roof and died with no soul. They say death takes you to a better place, but I doubt it. After that they killed his mother and never spoke about it. And listen, cause the story that I'm telling is true, cause I was there with Billy Jacobs and I raped his mom too. And now the devil follows me everywhere that I go. In fact, I'm sure he's standing among one of you at my shows, in every street cipher listening to Little Thug's flow. He could be standing right next to you and you wouldn't know. The devil grows inside the hearts of the selfish and wicked. White, brown, yellow, and black color is not restricted. You have a self-destructive destiny when you're inflicted, and you'll be one of God's children that fell from the top. There's no diversity because we're burning in the melting pot. So when the devil wants to dance with you, you better say never, because a dance with the devil might last you forever.
I was not expecting that. Now, I know in the beginning here, it said a corrupted young mind at the age of 13. Well, I won't say the word. N never had a father and his mom was a fiend. She put the pipe down, but for every year she was sober, her son's heart simultaneously grew colder. So she did at some point get clean, but the damage had already been done. And he already had checked out and had the ability to be corrupted by these other gang members. And this twist of fate at the end is probably about as heartbreaking as you can get, because the dance with the devil might last you forever. Yeah, it will, 100%. I have heard so many stories about people who are pure evil and they continue to get away with it when they should have been locked up the first time. I think there are certain crimes for which there is zero tolerance, 100%. If it's anything against children, you should be in jail for the rest of your life. Absolutely no exceptions. There is no helping you. There is no saving you. There is no rehabilitation. And people who do things like they did at the end here, same thing. There's no coming back from that. So there are certain things that it's not 3 strikes, you're out. It's 1 strike and you're done forever. Locked up. I don't know how many of you believe in the death penalty. I personally think that's the easy way out. But if you believe in the devil, maybe you believe you're going to burn in the lake of fire forever. I don't know. But I personally think that you should have to suffer at the hands of other inmates, period.
Because a dance with the devil might last you forever.
Now I see there's more lyrics to this song, but it looks like the video's over, so I'm not exactly sure what's up with that. I think there's a part 2. It says, "Oh, y'all MFers thought it was over, huh? Well, it's not. You didn't count on a fallen angel getting back." I'm going to have to look for this, or maybe some of you know, but it says part 2 in the lyrics. Man, this guy is so good. The cadence and the rap of this song was spectacular. I was told to cover the one with him wearing a red t-shirt and beanie. I also saw one come up when I typed this in that was a cartoon form, so I'm not sure maybe if that song has or is part 2. This song is definitely the reality that so many kids face coming up from poverty, growing up in inner cities, having no guidance at home, having no father figure, and having their only family be on the streets. And he's right, as he said in the end of the song, color is not restricted, because this can happen no matter how much melanin you have in your skin. If you're growing up with zero supervision, you just go out and do whatever you want, this can be the result. And it starts from childhood. You know, as he said here, the devil grows inside the hearts of the selfish and wicked. It's the age-old do unto others as you would have done unto you, the golden rule. I think that pretty much encapsulates everything. If everybody lived that way, we would not have things like this happen. A hardcore song, and any way you slice it, he has broken it down into such an amazing rap. And it's scary that such little importance can be placed on human life. Thank you so much for this request. I really appreciate being able to check this out. Thank you to Jukebox Dave. Shout out to you. If you like what I do, please give me a thumbs up and a comment down below, and let me know on this part too. I'm confused. Have a wonderful day, and as I always say, we'll see you in the next one. Peace.